crew? Welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun project video we are going to be back over on the Next Wave Shark CNC machine. It's going to be our very first project video in a very long time. If you guys remember, we took the CNC machine out of the workshop so I could make room for the counter and the drawer space to be better organized out here, because when it was sitting on its original table it took up a lot of floor space. But ultimately, the wheels in my head started spinning, and I wanted to start making more stuff with the CNC machine and get more familiar with the software and what it could ultimately do. So I cleaned up and organized out here, and we now have it over here in the corner. It doesn't take up a lot of floor space. It's on the extended table. So over here is my workbench, and then over here is the CNC machine. If you guys remember, all of my Craftsman tools were over here. And with the CNC machine being able to move this way and this way, I'm able to easily change out the CNC bits and move everything around to do general maintenance and things like that on it. But I wanted to make this video and bring it to life over here on the YouTube platform in the hopes that it might teach you guys something about CNC machines in general. By no means am I an expert. You guys know my favorite tool out in the workshop is the scroll saw. But I do want to make some CNC projects, and we'll see how well this video does here. I'll be using tools today, V-Carving Bits, and they are a phenomenal company. Great customer support. They always respond quickly to you if you ask them anything. But we'll be using a V-Carving bit. And V-Carving is essentially where you have a bit in the head of the CNC machine, and it is, as stated, in a V, so it is gouging out the details, going up and down, you know, and going around making whatever you have designed. And what I have designed is a sign for the church that we are currently attending. When I was going through material cleaning up, I happened upon this beautiful oak board here, beautiful grain texture. It is around 3/4 inch in thickness and a little over 3 foot long. By no means is a sign going to be this big. We will cut it down to roughly its dimensions, and then we'll cut it to its final dimensions once everything is done over at the CNC machine, and you'll see that process in today's video. But I'm wanting to make a sign for a church. I've already got the logo imported into the Lightburn software, and Lightburn is for laser engravers, but I have found, since I know how to use that software a lot, and I'm learning more and more about it, I can go in and edit the logos and then save them to a black and white SVG, because the Vectric software that runs the CNC machine, it can trace, and that's what you have to do in the software, is trace whatever you want to engrave or cut or anything. And the Vectric software does a lot better with a black and white photo as opposed to a color photo. But here is the church logo. You can see there it says New Covenant Fellowship Church. You have the big N there with the arrow going upwards to show your faith and everything, with the circle around it, and then a nice bold font there. Again, I've got this saved to the Vectric software, and that's what we're going to be doing every Sunday when you go into church. The church is so welcoming. They'll pray for you if you need prayers for something. They have prayer cards you can drop in the basket, you know, where they can pray for you privately and reach out to you and just pray with you. And they are just so welcoming. They have so many phenomenal activities throughout the year. We just went to a spaghetti dinner. They do a Christmas candlelight church service. They do a lot of stuff around Easter time. And then they also do community-like picnics at the local park that is adjacent to the church. But every Sunday when you go in, you get this slip of paper, and when I seen the logo, I knew I'd want to make it in a nice manner to give to the church, because if you guys remember, the CNC machine was given to me, and because it was given to me, because I'd have never been able to afford one on its own, but because it was given to me, I like to make stuff and give it away in turn, just to show and keep the kindness going. But everything is pretty much prepped and prepared, and what we need to do now is get this board cut down to a more manageable dimension so we can get it attached to our spool board over here on the CNC machine and get started. So let's do that now. And here in the Vectric software, you can see how I went about the designing process for the file that we would take to the CNC machine. I dropped the church logo into the software, and I traced around it to get our vector, and then I stretched it to the size that our board will ultimately be, and then I'm able to get a preview image of what the project will hopefully look like. And when I was happy with it, I could save it to an SD card to take to the Shark CNC machine. But our oak board is going to need some prep work, and as I said, it's way oversized for what we need. So I will measure out here the rough dimensions and mark my measurements here with a square. And I'll step over to the miter saw to break the oak board down. Keep in mind, oak is a harder and denser material as opposed to the pine and the 1/4-inch plywood I like to use for scroll saw projects, but I do like to use oak. It's just one of those materials you need to take your time and work with. Here I am taking my Craftsman drill and a small drill bit and drilling out some holes. This is how I will attach our material to the spool board of the CNC machine. And there's so many different ways you can attach your material to CNC machines. Some people use vacuum tables, double-sided tape, the hold down clamps, but I put this MDF spool board on the CNC machine years ago after I first got it from my friend Ben, and I can quickly screw material down to it. This is why I make the signs, the blanks for the signs, oversized. I'll cut them down to their final dimensions later. But now I can jog the head of the CNC machine and zero it out and get ready for V-carving. And I was ready to hit start. And obviously the footage is sped up here, but I am using a Tools Today V-carving bit. Tools Today is a phenomenal company. You can see their decal there on the CNC machine that they sent me. I've got their sign makers kit as well as their starter kit, and they are just a quality CNC bit that lasts a long time. Now, it took the CNC machine around 25 to 30 minutes to V-carve this sign out completely. And again, I'm still relearning all of the software and how to do everything over on the CNC machine because we had not used it for over a year. But again, as I said in the intro, I'm happy to have it back in the workshop to where I can make beautiful and creative projects such as this. Here with the GoPro on the corner, I've just got it setting on the spool board, and you can see that it's not vibrating around or anything. That just goes to show how smooth the Shark CNC machine is in its operations. You can see it going up and down as it goes to each individual letter. And again, I stayed in the workshop pretty much the whole time that the CNC machine was running. It's not a tool you want to walk away from for long periods of time. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. Getting close to the finish here. It's always fascinating to watch a sign come to life over at the CNC machine. And what I like about this machine is I can start it on a project and I can go over to the scroll saw and work on beautiful and creative scroll saw projects while making beautiful signs. But now that all the carving is done, I'll jog the head back and I'll get out my Craftsman drill again after removing a lot of the sawdust. And I'll take our piece up and we'll get our first glimpse of it. Really, really cool, really beautiful, and came out nice and crisp. But now what I'll do is take our rotary tool here and a little miniature V-bit and clean up any of the chip outs. The CNC does a phenomenal job, but again, oak can be a brittle material and sometimes you need just a little bit of touch up. So that is what I am doing now. And now I'll take my Craftsman orbital sander here and sand everything and then blow away the excess sawdust and cut the piece down to its final dimensions over at the Rikon table saw. Again, I like making the blanks for the signs oversized. That way I have room to attach it to our spool board at the CNC machine. And now it will be time to apply color. And for color, I'll use some basic acrylic craft paint and a paintbrush. And I will not bore you all with all of the painting process, but I just made sure to get down into all of the areas where the CNC had V carved. And if I got out of line a little bit, that was totally fine, because I am going to come back and give this a final sanding that will really make everything stand out. But the acrylic craft paint is water-based and it dries relatively quickly, so you are able to move right along with your projects. And once I'm done, I'll do a final look over to make sure everything has the paint on it that needs paint. And I'll step away and let it dry. And after it is dry, or while it is drying, I'm showing you guys some keychains I make for church as well from scrap pieces of 1/4 inch material. I hand these out at church each week. But now it is time for sanding, and this just takes a long time to go in here, but the results are well worth the effort. And just sanding away any areas where I got out of line with the black acrylic craft paint, and the sandpaper does a great job of cleaning this up. But after I was happy with it, I took my little blower tool and blew out all of that sawdust, and we were ready for a finish with a few coats of Rust-Oleum semi-gloss finish. And when it dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed V-carved sign made over on the Shark Next Wave CNC machine, and I think it finished up beautifully. Everything came together, especially when we applied the Rust-Oleum semi-gloss there at the end. You can see it reflected in the lights of the workshop. But this sign was made to be given to New Covenant Fellowship Church in Graham, North Carolina. Again, me and my mom and some of the family have been attending there for going on 2 years or so, and we love it. It is so welcoming. It's an amazing community of people to be around. They have an early service, they have an afternoon service, and as I said at the beginning, throughout the year they have so many activities, from life groups to Bible studies and things like that. And I'm so happy that I am going and attending this church for worship service, and I wanted to make something just to show them my appreciation. But New Covenant Fellowship Church is big and bold here, easily legible. You can see how the V carving done there, how it gouged out everything with that V path over on the CNC machine. And then you have the church logo over here, the big uppercase N with the arrow pointing upwards towards your faith with the circle around it. CNC'd on a piece of oak material, but really, really cool. And for the painting, I just used basic acrylic craft paint. I know there's so many different ways to make and bring to life and finish and create stuff over at the CNC machine. This is just the methods that I have found works for me right now out in the workshop. As I continue to play around with the CNC machine, I might find better methods, and I'll of course always try to come back and document them. But again, the CNC machine was given to me by a very dear friend of mine, and the way I show appreciation is by making stuff on the CNC machine to give to other people, to keep that kindness going. And like a circle, you know, it just keeps going and reaching outwards. And hopefully the people at New Covenant will love this sign. For ultimate finishing, again, the clear coat's got to dry thoroughly overnight to where it's not tacky or anything. I can put a hanger or make a little stand for it, and I might do both options because I'm unsure of how they will want to properly display this if they want to. Again, I just felt led to make this and bring it to life visually over here on the YouTube platform, so I will of course apply a hanger, and again I might make a stand so that it can hang on a wall or it can stand by, you know, the pulpit if they want to put it there, or, you know, in a hallway on a counter or something, or on the entryway where they give out these little sheets that has the logo we done in today's video. Again, they always have these little information sheets packed with all the week's activities, the classes that are going on and everything, and it's just a great way to, you know, interact and keep up to date with everything. They have an app you can download, so really, really cool. It took the CNC machine around 30 minutes to V-carve this completely from start to finish. You guys seen most of the process in today's video. And again, I hope it goes without saying that just like with a laser engraver, a CNC machine is not a machine that you want to walk away from for long periods of time. Now, of course, you can step away to get a sip of water, get some coffee, use the restroom quickly, but those are tools that really need to have your full attention while they are running in your garage or workshop. So just be aware of that. The air filtration unit was running, keeping the air quality out here in the shop as clean as possible. You guys seen I do not have dust collection on this machine. I'd like to add it to it, but right now with just what I'm doing, the V-carving does not make or generate a lot of sawdust, and I'm able to just go over there with the shop vac or the cordless vacuum cleaner and clean up as it is going along. And then after everything was done, we cleaned up everything with the Dremel tool. Sometimes there's little slivers, little chips that you need to clean up. So with the rotary tool, I cleaned up everything with a little carving bit. And after I was happy with it and done a light sanding, we painted everything with just basic acrylic craft paint. Now we could have went wild with the colors. We could have done everything a different color, New Covenant a color, the logo a color, the circle a different color, and then the small words Fellowship Church a different color at the bottom. But I always love how oak and the color black complement each other, especially once the clear coat is applied, and hopefully you will agree with that. It took me, it felt like longer to paint it than it did for the carving to actually take place over on the CNC machine, but I'm very happy with how it came out. Again, I'm no CNC expert. There's so many CNC experts out there on the YouTube platforms. If you want to go and reach out to them and talk to them, I know there's some that do it professionally. I'm just making signs from time to time as I am continuing to relearn the V-carve Vectric software. I picked it up kind of, you know, relatively quickly. I was like, wow, I remembered everything. But again, it is a learning curve that's way different from the laser engraver. But speaking of the laser engraver, I have been knocking out with some scrap material. Like if I cut out something and I have some scrap left over, I have been using 1/4 inch material to make keychains with the church's N and circle logo on it there. I used offset and put a little ring there for a keychain or a necklace. And the church has, like, as you go in, they have like a little coffee bar there with coffee, the creamer, the sugar, and all that. Of course, I drink my coffee straight black like my grandparents did. But then they also have another entryway that has these papers on it. And what I'll do is I'll make 8 to 10 of these when I have some scrap wood. It doesn't take long at all for the 40-watt laser to knock these out. And I'll grab a handful of them on Sunday morning and I'll lay some out by the coffee bar and then some out where the sheets are. Or if I see someone new come in the church, I'll just hand them one. You know, it's just a token, you know, to show, hey, thank you for coming here. You know, we really appreciate it and everything. But really, really cool. Really, really neat. And another thing, speaking of the laser and the software, I'm starting to use Lightburn software since I'm more familiar with it to fine-tune the logos and the images I want to take to the Vectric V-carve software for the CNC machine, because that software seems to trace a black and white image a lot better than it does a color image. But really, really cool. I hope along the way from start until now, you guys hopefully picked up a tip, trick, or tidbit along the way. And because the CNC was given to me by a dear friend, I wanted to make something to give and pass along to keep, again, that kindness going and going. But really, really cool. A V-carved sign made on the Next Wave Shark CNC machine using the V-carving technique for New Covenant Fellowship Church in Graham, North Carolina. Hopefully you agree that it finished up great. That's going to be about all for this one. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, crew. And remember, if I can make it or do it, so can you guys. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.